Hi, welcome to another session of Words Alive. Today I'll share with you a very interesting theme, to interpret or not to interpret. Now what am I talking about? First of all, I'll let you know some of my backgrounds. In 1988 to 1989, while serving the army, which is compulsory for every male guy in Singapore, I was transferred to the military court as an interpreter. Now that was a very interesting experience. There were only 5 of us in the army, and I learned how to speak in front of the judges and the lawyers, and I spoke for the accused, and I learned to interpret from one language to another language. So that was a very, I would say, very fantastic experience for me. Then when I went to work, I remember an incident. I was talking to one of my colleagues, and she gave me a comment. She said, "Paul, I think you're too interpretative in life. You interpret too much things." So I sat back and reflected, did I interpret too much things in my life? Now, over the many years, I've observed that we can interpret life events. Number one, we can interpret life events or events around the world by observing the patterns of mankind, individuals, or the society. For example, if we see that a country is moving certain way, we can relate to the movement or the direction of the country because of its past patterns or past historical records. So that's one way of interpreting life events. If you see that a person is temperamental, then you can safely deduce that many times he will end up in big arguments with people. The second way is interpreting life events with the Bible. For example, in Acts chapter 17, Paul was talking to the Athenian philosophers, and he said something very powerful. He said it was God who marked out the boundaries and the times of every nation, every people, every empire. And as I research and study world history, I can really agree with that, because there are many incidents that I saw the hand of God. Like for example, in World War II, the Japanese were about to get a hand on some uranium and some research notes from the German scientists. So they pack it in a submarine, and from Germany they try to travel back to Japan across the Atlantic Ocean. Now the Atlantic Ocean is a big ocean, but they were discovered by a US warship, and the 2 Japanese officers committed suicide, and therefore Japan didn't get their hands on how to make an atomic bomb. Just imagine if Japan were to invent the atomic bomb first. So there are many things like this that I can deduce that God is really the one who controls the time and the boundaries of every nation, every people. Then the third way of interpreting life events, which is more interesting, the supernatural way. In Genesis chapter 8, Noah was stuck in the ark for about a year, and finally he saw that the ground was dry. But after being stuck in the ark for a year, he did not immediately come out of the ark. Why? Because he was waiting upon God. And 1 month later, God called him out, and it was written, the ground was completely dry. So Noah waited upon the revelation of God to move out of the ark. Can you imagine? You're stuck with all the filthy animals and your family in the ark for a year. And yet when you see that the ground was dry, you don't come out at all. You wait upon God. Wait until when God say come out, then you come out. Now that was Noah's attitude. So that this dimension of how to interpret life events with the supernatural revelation of God. I have one exciting example. Months ago, I have a dream. I dreamt of being with one of my church members, and in the dream, we were interviewing some people, but somehow we ended up interviewing the same people twice. So in the dream, I told my member, I say, perhaps we should not interview this group of people twice. And I woke up. Now I didn't know what to make of it. Then the next day, my church member came to my house for lunch, and suddenly he shared about certain things in his life. And immediately I could interpret the situation that he was going through with the dream that I just have. The message was, don't do things twice. Don't do certain things twice. And that helped him to understand his own situation. Now see, this is the supernatural revelation of God that leads me to interpret certain life events. So I wish you all the best. I hope that the Lord will give you wisdom using the Bible to interpret life events, and also give you the supernatural revelations so that you can interpret your life events. But anyway, I'd just like to encourage you. God is good all the time, and all the time He is good. So whatever that can happen to us, we can safely interpret. All will turn out well for those who love God. The Lord bless you.